Hi, welcome to SoCal Insider. I'm Rick Reef. Some of LA's biggest movers and shakers have gotten together, businessmen, labor leaders, politicians, even former Governor Gray Davis, to examine where the city's heading. Their conclusion? The city's on a road to nowhere, thanks to dysfunctional government and a declining economy. Is it really that bad? And do they have the answers? Well, I'll ask Mickey Kantor, the former top Clinton administration official who's leading the effort. Also, what treasures did Antiques Roadshow unearth in Anaheim? Well, host Mark Walberg will tell us that and more. But first, local politics of a long-ago war. The combination triggered emotional protests at Irvine City Hall. David Nazar, what's the story?
Rick, Southland cities have all sorts of sister cities around the globe. They're friendly outreaches to foster cultural understanding, even to boost trade and tourism. However, an Irvine councilman's proposal to befriend a city in Vietnam got a less than friendly reception. There are more than 2 million Vietnamese Americans living in the United States. About 250,000 of those live in Orange County, with the majority residing in Garden Grove and Westminster's Little Saigon. This is the largest concentration of Vietnamese Americans outside of Vietnam. Oftentimes what happens in the OC Vietnamese community reverberates throughout the Southland and sometimes the rest of the country. Such was the case recently when Irvine City Councilman Larry Agron proposed an idea to create a friendship city between Irvine and the city of Nha Trang in Vietnam. That news spread like wildfire around Southern California as hundreds of protesters converged on the Irvine City Council meeting to voice their opposition. Whether the protest was politically orchestrated or organic in nature, leading the way was Orange County Supervisor Janet Nguyen, who represents Westminster, Garden Grove, Santa Ana, and parts of Fountain Valley.
Oh, it's very insulting.
Supervisor Nguyen, whose family escaped Vietnam when she was just a little girl, says Agron was insensitive and careless when he suggested a relation between his city and Nha Trang.
There's a lot of issues that's still current in Vietnam. Human rights violations, abuse, whether that's, freedom of speech, religious rights. Individuals in Orange County who goes home to Vietnam gets arrested as well, and some of them are also convicted. They're U.S. citizens now.
Nguyen says even though the Vietnam War might have been 4 decades ago, the horrors, past and present, still linger for many who fled Vietnam's oppressive communist regime.
It brings back memories. It brings back wounds that are so deep for a lot of these individuals and their family. It's very insulting, especially in Orange County. And the idea that he went forward without even acknowledging or even looking to this community, and even picking a city that is cited by the U.S. Department of State for their human rights violation. You're gonna want to be affiliated with a city that is known nationally and worldwide in all these violations. How could you do that to even the people of Irvine?
Councilman Agron says the only thing he was doing was acting in good faith, attempting to affect change in a positive way on the local level when proposing the idea of a friendship city in Vietnam.
To the extent that we can use those connections to promote human rights and to promote democracy and to promote friendship and constructive relationships, that's a plus for everybody. Irvine is a wonderful international crossroads city. We reach out to the world and we represent the world here in the city of Irvine. And some of us believe that isolation is not the right route, but that engagement, even limited engagement, is a better route.
Agron says Supervisor Nguyen is wrong when she says he didn't consult anyone in the Orange County Vietnamese community prior to his proposal.
Before I went forward with this proposal, I spoke to a number of Vietnamese people whom I know and respect, and asked them if they thought that the inclusion of Nha Trang, a Vietnamese city, would be an appropriate part of the extension, the building of our Friendship Cities program. And the people with whom I spoke indicated that after 39 years, it probably is the right time.
This is like, most people have said it's like putting Hitler's photo in the Jewish community. You bring back memories.
I understand this is part of politics, this is part of public life, and I listened, and believe me, as somebody who went back and was personally responsible for the reunification of 5 Vietnamese families because of my personal efforts. Nobody has to lecture me about what transpired in Vietnam during the war and after.
Well, after listening, Councilman Agron retracted the Nha Trang Irvine friendship proposal. However, the council majority over Agron's objection went even further, killing his friendship proposals with Karachi, Pakistan and Baoji, China. Rick, the majority again there cited human rights concerns for their actions.
Yeah, David, you know, you posed the question of whether this was organic or political, these protests. Clearly, the protesters and Supervisor Wynn feel deeply about this. However, of course, there's politics involved here. Janet's running for the assembly, and, you know, could she possibly have been using this to mobilize her troops?
Are you a little cynical? Well, look, listen.
Skeptical, I'd say.
Skeptical. There's no question Nguyen has tremendous conviction about Vietnam and the problems there. But yeah, I mean, her office organized a protest, sent out e-blasts to the Vietnamese community. Of course, the community took it from there. However, Rick, clearly there was no shortage of politicians who wanted protesters to know they stood by them. For instance, Orange County Supervisor Todd Spitzer, a Republican, was at the council meeting. So was State Senator Lou Correa, a Democrat, along with a host of other local political leaders. They were all jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, of course, proving once again that all politics is local. Anyway, thank you, David. And now I'm joined by the man who was President Bill Clinton's trade rep. He's a partner in the law firm Mayer Brown, and now he's a man on a mission to save L.A., Mickey Kantor. Mickey, welcome.
Well, I'm not sure I can save L.A. I just want to be part of many who want to foster change.
Great.
Want to attack the status quo.
Great. I did want to ask you about that segment we just ran because, sure. I mean, some people have called you the top international trade lawyer in existence. None other than your buddy Bill Clinton has said that. So how do you feel about this idea? Do we engage countries that are doing bad things, or do we take a stand?
Well, first let me say President Clinton is prone to hyperbole, so let's not take that too far. I think we engage. Let me say, I understand the opposition, I understand the emotion, I understand the concern. But if we don't reach out, we can't change anything. All we do is isolate ourselves, and we isolate the problem. It's not just Vietnam, it's other countries in the world who don't have our standards of human rights and our freedoms. We need to reach out, we need to continue to do so. I don't know about this particular proposal, I haven't looked at it, but all I can say is engagement is better than non-engagement.
Okay. Let's talk about the engagement with Los Angeles. You are the co-chair of the 2020 Commission. What's that about, and what have you found?
We were asked I was asked to put together an independent commission a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, by Herb Wesson, the president of the council, non-government funded, non-connected, to see if we couldn't come up with ideas as to how to move LA and the region forward. We have been meeting for a year. We held hearings. We heard from 50, 60 people. We talked even more offline. We drafted a first report which came out in early January, which was about the problems, a description of the problems in Los Angeles. And now our second report has just come out called A Time for Change.
Your first report basically said things are going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, you know, let me say, most cities face the same problems LA faces. We seem to have them in greater abundance, simply because we're bigger, and I think we have faced some problems others don't face.
Tick off two or three of the things.
Let me just say jobs. We have a worse jobs record than every city in the United States, every big city, including Detroit, since the year 2000.
In other words,
we have lost 3.1% of our jobs, lost. Detroit's only lost 2.8% of their jobs. Can you imagine? We are the bottom of the heap. I don't know, we have 40% of our folks living in misery. 29% are working full-time and still live in poverty. 11% are unemployed. We have a terrible transportation system, as everyone knows, in this whole region. We all face it every day and struggle with it. Our school system is in trouble as well. We have got to begin to address these problems.
Okay, and of course, people read this, everybody nodded, they agreed. Now the rubber meets the road. What are you going to do about it?
Well, we thought we'd attack the status quo. Look, we had a couple of criteria for our recommendations. One was that they were realistic, could be done. 2, could be done quickly. 3, could be done at little cost and not frankly overturning the apple cart. We didn't want to be unrealistic. We wanted to be pragmatic in what we said, and that's what we did. We had a baker's dozen of proposals, that's all. 3 different areas. One was jobs, one was transparency and accountability, and one was about the budget. LA has an unsustainable budget deficit and needs to do something about it. So we addressed all 3 in our proposals.
So what are, give me a couple of the specific proposals.
Well, I can run through all of them, but I won't bore you to tears here.
Well, how about first, I was very intrigued. You're talking about having some oversight authorities, including something like the Congressional Budget Office for LA.
Well, yeah, an Office of Transparency and Accountability. We're not the first to think of this. Look, there are no new ideas under the sun. We copied New York and Chicago, who've initiated offices of transparency and accountability, called something different, but the same thing, in order to review proposals, review new ordinances to make sure they fit the budget, to review the budget and make sure it's done correctly.
So if a councilman says he wants a program, this independent group says this is how much it's going to cost, and that isn't being done
and whether it works and whether it fits into what LA is doing. We don't have that. As I said, New York's working very well, by the way, right now. We do it at the national level, the Congressional Budget Office. We do it at the state level, the CLA in Sacramento. Why in the world don't we do it in LA?
You also called for a more independent body to oversee DWP, where there's been so many problems. But some of the critics have been saying that politicians are going to appoint the people on these boards and nothing's going to change.
Well, of course, someone has to appoint them. We don't want them elected. We know what that leads to. They're appointed 4 years, staggered terms. They'll overlap any mayor's term or any council person's term. Therefore, they are independent by right of being there longer and at different times than the people who appointed them. I believe that the elected officials will appoint people who truly are independent. Look, DWP's not working as well as it should. Look, it's not horrible. It's just not working as well as it should.
Some people would say it's horrible.
Well, I don't go that far. It is a major asset for the city of Los Angeles, and we need to make sure it's working well. Whether it has to do with rate making, where our city council has the power to make the rates. City council has not the expertise, the background, or the staff to do that. I think it makes sense. We think it was unanimous. Remember, on this report, it was absolutely unanimous on all 13 proposals. These are very diverse people on this panel, and I was delighted with the unanimity.
And yet the response, as you know, some people have embraced it. I think both the Chamber of Commerce and the Labor Federation said yay. A lot of people just gave it the cold shoulder, including Mayor Garcetti. Now, I mean, you release it the day before his State of the City speech. That kind of looks like you're maybe giving him a little bit of a prod, and then he ignores it except to make a backhanded comment about we don't need another study or something like that.
Yeah, I understand. Look, when you're mayor and someone's saying we need an Office of Transparency and Accountability, what's your first reaction to that? Or we need to make major changes at the port or with DWP, or we need to do things about the community plans. We need to invest in clusters in Los Angeles in order to build the city. Many of these he's embraced in other forms. He is a very bright, able guy. I have great hopes for Mayor Garcetti, and I think he's going to do well. I don't blame him. It's not his commission. It puts pressure on him. By the way, we met twice before he gave his State of the City. We all knew the date. Mayor Garcetti never asked us to do a different date.
What about, and
by the way, when you're mayor, we can't take away the bully pulpit from him.
I know of all people, this will surprise you to know that there is talk about politics when it comes to this commission. But you know, one of the arguments is that this was Wendy Gruel's commission, if you will, and this report is her revenge. Wendy Gruel and Eric Garcetti ran for mayor. You supported her, and so did many of the other members on the commission. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, maybe half the members supported Wendy Gruel. Some were neutral, and some supported Eric Garcetti. That's number one. Number two, that mayor's race is long over. Folks, let's get over it. We got to move on. Never once in the commission meetings, never once in private conversation did that mayor's race ever come up. In fact, we held private meetings with people we wanted to talk to before the mayor's race not to get involved, so we wouldn't have any effect whatsoever on the mayor's race.
Right. Finally, one more question. You have been in politics a long time. You were a New Democrat.
Some people say too long.
Well, you're still at it. Bill Clinton and you were the New Democrats, the pro-business Democrats. Nowadays, we hear a lot about income disparity and class warfare. Has the whole dialogue changed?
Well, I'm not sure it's changed. Bill Clinton was a pro-common sense Democrat. He was pragmatic and practical, wanted to get the job done, move the ball forward, not waste time on ideological or philosophical debates, and he was good at it. We had the best economy, frankly, in the 20th century under Bill Clinton, as you know. And the New Democrat versus old Democrat, that doesn't exist. The Democratic Party, you know, for the first time in my lifetime, is pretty much a unified party, which is a good thing. We disagree on some things, but it's pretty interesting what's happened.
Okay. Well, Mickey, thanks very much for coming on. We'd love to have you back on, and we'll follow the progress.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Antiques Roadshow, Motors in Anaheim. Host Mark Walberg is next.
Takes you places where you've never gone before.
It's watching something that's actually happened.
Nature sure draw me in the story.
Just their power and their grace.
You know, it was just so beautiful to watch them.
The movement and just watching the body and watching the chase.
Like this huge, lush, vibrant watercolor.
Tim's.
There was such a shot of underneath watching these elephants swim in this deep water.
I had no idea even they could swim like that.
I saw that one monkey pulling on this one monkey's tail, and the monkey like, man, what you doing? What you doing?
It's like the theater of the wild or something.
7 billion trillion animals living on one planet.
It's like more colorful than than you think life can possibly be.
Somewhere between the mystique and the beauty of it is reason enough to sit down and watch.
That's life, and that's nature.
And now get ready for Antiques Roadshow Anaheim edition. Episodes of the popular series Stop in the Southland will begin airing April 21. And here to tell us about it, a familiar face to viewers on public television, of public television, the host, Mark Walberg. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I know you get the jokes all the time.
Yes,
but,
so this better be a good one. If you're going to bring it, it better be good.
You must always get great tables at restaurants, because if people don't know that you are Mark Walberg, they think you are the other Mark Walberg.
But then the question is, which one of us is the other, depending on the restaurant?
That's right.
That's right. So if it's upscale, it's probably him.
By the way, you're looking really good. I mean, I was gonna crack a joke about abs, but I mean, you're in good shape.
You can crack all the jokes you'd like. You know, I'm just glad I'm sitting here healthy.
Okay, so tell us, you go around the country, and now you were in Anaheim. We're going to be seeing those shows. As you go to different parts of the country, do people have different stuff?
You know, we get asked that a lot, and I think it's true that there is a regional flavor. But people travel and the things travel. So it's not like it used to be. So when we're in Hawaii, we may see Revolutionary War furniture. And then when we're in Connecticut, we may see Hawaiian quilts. So things do travel. Or things that are sort of indigenous. A John Wayne item came through, a couple Hollywood items came through because of our region. And those are the things we feature.
Yeah, now tell me about that. One of the Hollywood items were Buddy Ebsen's dancing shoes.
That's right. Buddy Ebsen, who
I thought he was an actor.
Well, you know, there was a time when you had to do everything when you were acting. You couldn't just act. So he was a song and dance man before television and film. He was, he was a vaudevillian and specifically a tap dancer. My wife is a great tap dancer, and when she was a child, worked with Buddy Ebsen. So he was very well, he was a triple threat. Yeah. Of course, we know him as, either Barnaby Jones or Jed Clampett, but before that, he was quite the dancer.
Yeah, and also Wizard of Oz, right?
Well, so I'm told, I'll have to check it, but I think he was the original Tin Man, but was allergic to the paint, and they replaced him.
Yeah. And when you do these shows, you find out things. These items become launching points for stories. I mean, you have it's a city. When you guys do a show, it's a city.
Well, and that's one of the things they talk about is that on PBS, we have a mandate. We have a self-imposed ideal for truth and honesty and authenticity in what we're doing. And so for us to do a show, or in the case of Anaheim, when we'll get 3 episodes of television out of one city, we're going to see 5,000 to 6,000 people on that day. 10,000 to 12,000 items will come through our doors, and only 90 of them are going to end up on the 3 episodes that we do. As opposed to other shows you might see where apparently every single storage locker has something great in it. The point is, we are education, we are history, and we're entertainment, and we need to do it in an honest and authentic way. So it's a numbers game for us. We need to have a lot of people come through the door.
Right. Now, I don't know how many folks are aware that besides being the host of Antiques Roadshow, there's a lot of other things you do. And you, at one time, you hosted a show on Fox.
I've hosted several shows on Fox.
Yes. The one that I'm thinking about was called Temptation Island.
That's right.
Right. What was Temptation Island about?
I can't believe you missed it. Temptation Island was actually...
I was watching PBS. I was busy watching
very
PBS.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
That should protect both of our jobs just perfectly.
Yeah.
Actually, Temptation Island was like the 3rd big reality show. First came out Big Brother, then Survivor, and then Temptation Island was this dating experiment where people who had been in a relationship decided to see what it'd be like to be single, and they're tempted by other people, and then at the end they decide if they're going to stay together or break apart.
It seems a far cry. It's a long path from Temptation Island to Antiques Roadshow on PBS.
It is or it isn't. And so my take on that is this, that the subject matter of a program is, as the host, that's not really my call. My call is, how do I present it? Do I present it authentically and honestly? In the case of Temptation Island...
you presented that authentically and
absolutely,
honestly?
Absolutely. Because I presented from the standpoint that was honest for me. I'm a married man. I love my wife. You guys say, as single dating people, that you have problems with your relationship and you think this experiment is going to work for you. So I came from the point of, be careful what you wish for. I know you're going to find the answers. They're probably not going to be the answers that you think. That I know that those questions aren't, that's not the way to find them. So that's how I presented it. Look, you guys think that being single for 2 weeks is going to give you answers. I say, probably not the answers you think, but let's go through the experiment.
Antiques Roadshow, what's your attitude there? What are you trying to do?
Attitude there is, we have, you know, the best experts in the world talking about antiques and collectibles. I'm not one of them. I'm a broadcaster. So my point of view is, I'm the curious student. I'm the proxy for the audience. That's what a host is. My job is, you're on the couch watching or wherever you're watching the show, and you may have questions or thoughts, and it's my job to ask them and be that inquisitive viewer who happens to be there. So I don't pretend to be the authority. I pretend to be the student. And that's what Antiques Roadshow is one of the most fun classrooms you can show up to.
Huh, very good, very good. And also one other event besides this series.
Yes, sir.
May 17 at the OC Fairgrounds, you are going to be hosting our station's annual gala.
That's right. Well, you know, I live in Southern California, and PBS SoCal is my local PBS station. And as everyone who watches our program knows, that it's made possible by supportive viewers like you. And so my way of supporting is to get in there and see if we can make that gala as great as it can be.
Well, thanks for coming on. My objective now is to get the other Mark Walberg on sometime. Thank you very much.
If there's any way I can help you, I'll let you know.
Okay. You can watch the show and past shows at rickreef.com. Segments of the show can also be viewed at pbssocal.org. My guests have been Mark Walberg and Mickey Kantor. Thanks also to Janet Wynn and Larry Agron. And thank you for watching. We'll see you again on SoCal Insider.
SoCal Insider with Rick Reef is brought to you by the following. 5 Point Communities is a proud sponsor of PBS SoCal. 5 Point Communities is an independent real estate development company with assets under management across California. More information available at www.fivepointcommunities.com. Snell & Wilmer is a full-service business law firm with more than 400 attorneys in Orange County, Los Angeles, and throughout the West. On the web at swlaw.com. Snell & Wilmer. Straight talk, sound counsel. Practical solutions.
Relief Pod's latest generation of safety kits now go everywhere you go. Relief Pod's organized, color-coded, and compact safety kits keep first aid and emergency items accessible for a safe lifestyle every day. Relief Pod. Live ready.
A healthy future for you, your family, and your business is why Memorial Care Health System transformed healthcare. Our hospitals, physicians, and outpatient centers keep patients healthy and care for them when they're not. Memorial Care, one healthcare system leading the way.
There's no room for failure in the aerospace industry. That's why we still manufacture here in America. We produce parts for the most sophisticated machines known to man. City National is the way up for our business.